Your backyard, it's supposed to be your personal patch of green, right? A safe space. But what happens when that sanctuary becomes the one place you're most afraid of? We're about to dive into 3 true stories where the biggest threat wasn't some monster miles away, but something lurking just a few feet from the back door. It really goes to show that sometimes the most terrifying place on earth is the one you call home.
This is where our first nightmare begins. It sounds so simple, right? Almost boring. But think about it. Who is it? Why are they there? It's an observation that just spirals into this terrifying encounter, tapping into that deep, deep fear we all have about who or what might be watching us when we think we're safe and sound.
So, our first story is called The Backyard Watcher. It kicks off with something a lot of us probably did as kids, the thrill of a backyard campout. But this one takes a really dark turn. It's a chilling reminder that, sometimes the real monsters aren't in fairy tales. Sometimes they're standing right on the other side of the fence.
So picture it. 2 brothers, Chris and Scott, just buzzing with excitement. They've got a tent pitched in their huge backyard, a fire pit crackling, the whole deal. For a 7-year-old, this is it. This is the ultimate adventure. Just a night of playing Game Boys and sleeping under the stars in what feels like the middle of nowhere.
A little while later, Chris wakes up. It's dead quiet. The tent is dark, and this sudden chill just runs right through him. He looks over, and his brother's sleeping bag is empty. Okay, he tells himself, Scott probably just went inside to use the bathroom. But that primal kid fear starts to take hold. He decides, okay, I'll just peek outside for a second, then I'm making a run for the house.
And that's when he sees him. It's not his dad. It's not his brother. It's a grown man, just sitting there silently by the dying fire, staring straight at the tent. Chris panics, zips the tent shut, and a second later, he hears the chair shift. A huge shadow falls over the tent, blocking out the moonlight. The threat isn't yards away anymore, it's inches.
He hears the zipper, slowly, deliberately, being pulled down just a few inches. And through that tiny little gap, where the zipper doesn't quite meet the end, he sees it. A single human eye, pressed right up against the opening, staring directly at him in the darkness. He's frozen, totally paralyzed with fear, until he sees the eye squint, almost like the person is smiling. And that's when he finally screams.
His dad comes rushing outside, but of course, the man is gone. Life starts to feel a little bit normal again, but then, a few weeks later, Chris is at school during recess. A man walks right up to the schoolyard fence and asks him for directions. Chris, remembering you don't talk to strangers, says he doesn't know. And then the man asks, "Your name's Chris, right?"
Chris's heart is just pounding. He lies, says no, and the man just smiles and says, "You don't remember me, do you?" And in that one instant, Chris knows. It's him. He just turns and sprints for a teacher. But by the time they look back, the man has just vanished. And that terrifying realization sinks in. This wasn't random at all. He had been chosen. So that first story really preys on our fear of a predator who, terrifyingly, knows our name. But what about a threat that's completely unknowable? Our second story, The House of Smiles, it shifts gears from that fear of a direct hunter to something much stranger. It's a story about the uncanny and how a totally normal errand can lead you to a place where nothing is what it seems.
So, our narrator finds this awesome deal for a couch and a bike on Facebook Marketplace. The address takes him to this enormous, beautiful mansion right on a cliff overlooking the ocean. He's thinking, wow, these people must be so rich. They're basically giving this stuff away.
But things get weird fast. The car in the driveway, it's this old, beat-up clunker that does not fit with the mansion. There's a sticky note on the front door that says the doorbell's broken and to use the back. And as he's walking around the side of the house, he notices that every single window blind is shut tight.
The seller isn't answering his texts, so while he's waiting, he walks over to the cliff to check out the incredible view. He's only there for a couple of minutes, but when he turns back to the house, he just freezes. Something is very, very wrong. Every single blind that was just shut tight is now wide open, and in each window, there's a person, just standing there, perfectly still, like mannequins, just watching him. He's completely baffled. I mean, is this some kind of elaborate prank? He takes a few slow steps closer, trying to figure out what he's looking at, and that's when the real horror of it all just clicks into place. every single person standing in those windows, from an old man to a young woman, had the exact same wide, unnatural smile plastered on their face.
He doesn't even think. He just gets in his car and floors it. Once he's a safe distance away, he talks to a neighbor who helps him get in touch with the actual owner of the house. And the owner is totally shocked. He's out of town. He never posted any ad. When the police go to investigate, there's nobody there, but every single door to the house has been left unlocked. It was a lure. It was a trap.
All right, our final story is the most direct violation of them all. This one isn't about being watched from a distance or being lured into some bizarre trap. No, this is about the moment the monster is no longer outside trying to get in. This is about when it's already found a way inside your home.
It all goes down on what seems like a totally perfect Saturday. The very first hint of trouble is so small, just a man's cough from the woods in the afternoon. A few hours later, the yard is full of friends, music, a pool party. But just 1 hour after that last guest drives away, the whole feeling of safety just completely shatters. So the narrator is in bed, and he hears this loud splash. Not like something accidentally fell in the pool, no. This was the sound of someone jumping in. He looks out his window and sees a man, just calmly swimming laps. He runs through the faces of all 20 friends who were just there, and this is none of them. He is a complete and total stranger.
He yells out the window, "Hey, who is that?" And the man stops swimming, looks right up at him with no surprise, no fear at all, and just calmly climbs out of the pool. And then, instead of running away like you'd expect, he starts walking, dripping wet, straight for the house with this chilling, unnerving confidence.
And this is the moment every single homeowner dreads. Even though he knows he locked that door after his friends left, he hears it. That unmistakable sound of the sliding glass door grinding open and then closing shut. The barrier is gone. The intruder is inside the house.
He bolts to his bedroom, locks the door, and starts whispering to a 911 operator. And then he hears it, that sound. The sound of slow, wet footsteps on the hardwood floor downstairs. Step after step, not rushing, not searching around, just coming straight up the stairs, right for his bedroom door.
The footsteps stop, right outside his door. The handle jiggles. Then there's this long, agonizing silence. And then, a calm, low voice from the other side of the door says, "It's me. Open the door." Just a simple, familiar phrase twisted into the most bone-chilling thing you could possibly hear.
So, okay, after hearing those 3 stories, what is it that connects them? Why do they get under our skin so effectively? Let's take a second and break down the common threads that make these backyard horror stories so incredibly potent.
Each story is totally different, but they all hit the same terrifying notes. First, they all start with the violation of a supposedly safe space, a tent in your own yard, your house itself. The threat is always this unknown antagonist, a person whose face is either hidden by darkness or twisted into some horrifying smile, and their motives are just terrifyingly unclear. What did they want? We have no idea. And woven through it all is that primal fear of being watched, that feeling that turned your home into a fishbowl. And in every single case, survival comes down to a gut feeling and a narrow, heart-pounding escape.
All 3 of our storytellers, they listened to that voice in their head, and they got away. They lived to tell the tale. And that really just leaves us with one final lingering thought. These stories are so scary because they're true, and they're a reminder of all the countless other stories that we never get to hear because the people in them didn't have a happy ending.